Hello everyone, here are your answers to assignment number 10. The first question says, which equation is equivalent to y equals 10 to the power of x? So if we take these choices one at a time, we say, all right, choice A says y equals 10 to the negative x, and we know that negative exponent means we just take the reciprocal, so that's 1 over 10 to the x, which is not the answer. B, y equals negative 10 to the negative x. Well, that's the same thing as choice A, just with a negative in front of it. So that's not the answer either. For C, it says 1 over 10 to the negative x. So we take the reciprocal of 1 over 10, we get 10. That exponent becomes positive, and we get 10 to the power of x, which is why your answer is C. Question 2 says the expression a to the negative second power b cubed, all raised to the negative third power, where a is not equal 0 and b is not equal 0, is equivalent to what? So our expanded power rule is everything inside gets raised to the power of negative 3. So we get a to the negative second power raised to the negative third power, b to the third power to the negative third power. When you have a power raised to a power, you multiply. So it's a to the negative 2 times negative 3. And b to the 3 times negative 3. So we get a to the positive 6, b to the negative 9th. So a to the 6 is on top, and b to the 9th is on the bottom because the negative exponent moves it downstairs. For number 3, we have lovely music from Frozen in the background. When 5x cubed is multiplied by 3x squared, the product is what? Well, 5x cubed times 3x squared, we just multiply the coefficients 5 times 3. And we multiply the bases, the variables x cubed times x squared. When you're multiplying common bases, you keep the base, add the exponents. So it's 5 times 3 times x to the power of 3 plus 2, which is 15x to the 5th, which is letter C. Let it go. For number 4, find the value of 8 to the 2/3 power. Well, fractional exponent just means a radical. The denominator of the exponent becomes the index. So it's the third root of 8 that is squared. That's why the answer is B. When I originally did this, I didn't look at the choices, but the cube root of 8 is 2, and then 2 squared is 4. So that's the numerical answer too. For number 5, if x is a positive integer, 4x to the 1/2 power is equivalent to what? What is being raised to the power of 1/2 is just the x, not the 4. So only the x goes under the radical. The 4 stays out in front because 4x is not in parentheses. Just the x is being raised to the 1/2 power. So that's why the answer is A, 4 radical x. Number 6, if n is greater than 0, the expression 1 over n to the negative 2/3 power is equivalent to what? This question looks complicated, but it is very easy. Okay, we have that negative exponent, which just means that base, we take the reciprocal of it. The reciprocal of 1 over n is n over 1, or just n. And it becomes n to the positive 2/3 power. So that then becomes a radical with an index of 3. So it becomes the cube root of n, and that's being squared because the numerator is 2, and that's choice A. Easy problem. Now in this problem, look at the difference between the, what was that, up here, number 5, the 4x is not in parentheses. And here on number 7, you see the 2x is in parentheses. So that changes things up a bit. We have 2x, the whole quantity being raised to the negative 3/2 power. So since the whole quantity is being raised to the negative 3/2 power, we take the reciprocal of 2x and we get 1 over 2x. And that's raised to the power 3 over, the positive 3 over 2 power, excuse me. So that means it's going to be the square root of 2x cubed. But notice the 2x, the whole quantity 2x is being cubed. So we get 2 cubed and x cubed. 2 cubed is 8. X cubed is just x cubed. Think of it as what's happening here is we have 2x times 2x times 2x. And that's why it's 1 over radical 8x cubed. Be careful with those parentheses. For number 8, we have 3a squared times 3 to the power of a plus 4. So 3 to the a is being squared. When you have a power raised to a power, you multiply them. So we get 3 to the 2a times 3 to the a plus 4. Keep the bases, add the exponents. 2a, so we keep the bases 3. We add 2a plus a plus 4. Combine your like terms, we have 2a and a, which give us 3a, and we get 3 to the power of 3a plus 4, which is B. There's another one that looked more complicated than it actually is. Number 9, 18x cubed y squared over negative 3x cubed y is equivalent to what? So let's break it up into our like terms. We have the coefficients, which is 18 divided by negative 3. The x's, when you're dividing common bases, you subtract the exponents. So it's x to the power of 3 minus 3, because it's x cubed divided by x cubed. And y to the power of 2 minus 1, because there's a 2 on the top and a 1 on the bottom. Well, 18 divided by negative 3 is negative 6. 3 minus 3 is 0, and x to the power of 0 is 1. So we just put 1 and you multiply by 1. You don't have to write that. And then 2 minus 1 is equal to 1, so we just get negative 6y. And that's choice B. For number 10, here's our fractional exponent problem. W plus 1 to the power of 3 halves equals 64. So remember, when solving these equations, you have to get whatever's being raised to that fractional exponent isolated, which it already is. The w plus 1 is being raised to that power. And then we raise both sides to the reciprocal. Reciprocal of 3 halves is 2/3. When you have a power raised to a power, you multiply them. And when you multiply reciprocals, they reduce to 1. So we just get w plus 1 is equal to 64 to the 2/3, which is the cubed root of 64 squared, because the denominator of the exponent becomes the index of our radical. The cube root of 64 is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. And then we square 4 and we get 16. So we get w plus 1 is equal to 16. We got to solve for w, so subtract 1 from each side, and we get w is equal to 15, which is choice C. For number 11, we've got 16 to the power of x minus 1 equals 8 to the power of x. So when you have an exponential equation, which is anytime we have a variable in the exponent, we have to find common bases and then set the exponents equal to each other. So between 16 and 8, the only common base that they have is a 2. It's not 4, because even though 4 squared is 16, 4 cannot be raised to an integer power that goes into 8. So we get 2 to the 4th power is 16. We get 2 to the 3rd power is 8. So we rewrite the number 16 as 2 to the 4th power. That's being raised to the x minus 1 power. We rewrite the number 8 as 2 to the 3rd power, and that's being raised to the x. When you have a power raised to a power, you multiply them. However, you have to be careful to distribute this 4. You're doing 4 times the quantity x minus 1, which is going to be 4x minus 4. So it's 2 to the power of 4x minus 4 is equal to power to a power you multiply, 2 to the 3x. So we have 2 to the 4x minus 4 equals 2 to the 3x. Common bases, drop the base, set the exponents equal to each other. 4x minus 4 equals 3x. Pre-algebra problem, solve for x, and we get x is equal to 4, which is B. Number 12, same exact type of problem. What is the value of x in the equation 81 to the power of x plus 2 equals 27 to the power of 5x plus 4? So we find a common base for 81 and 27, and that's 3, because 3 to the 4th power is 81, and 3 to the 3rd power is 27. So we rewrite the number 81 as 3 to the 4th power. That's still being raised to the x plus 2 power. 27 becomes 3 cubed, and that's still being raised to the 5x plus 4 power. Multiply those exponents, remembering to distribute. 3 to the 4x plus 8 equals 3 to the 15x plus 12. Common bases, drop the base, set the exponents equal to each other. 15x plus 12 equals 4x plus 8. And when we solve this for x, we get choice C, which is negative 4 over 11. Number 13, the growth of bacteria in a dish is modeled by the function f of t equals 2 to the t over 3. For what is the value of t when f of t is 32? So if we have to solve for t when f of t is 32, we're just going to plug a 32 in for f of t, and we get 32 equals 2 to the t over 3. Exponential equation, because our variable is in the exponent. Find common bases. 2 to the 5th power is 32. And we already have 2 to the power of 2 here. So we can drop the bases and set 5 equal to t over 3. Multiply both sides by 3, and we get t is equal to 15. Number 14, if 3 to the power of x equals 1 over 9, find the value of x. So we have to change that 1 over 9 into 9 to the negative 1 power using our negative exponent rule. And then we find common bases because exponent, the variable's in the exponent, so this is an exponential equation. 3 to the x equals, well, 9 is just 3 squared. So 3 to the x equals 3 squared raised to the first power, which means we get 3 to the x equals 3 to the negative 2. Drop the bases, and we get x is equal to negative 2. For number 15, express the given expression with positive exponents only in simplest form. So we cannot have any negative exponents in our answer. We've got negative 2x to the fourth, y to the negative third, z to the 0 power, all raised to the negative second power. So we raise everything in this expression to the power of negative 2. So we get negative 2 to the negative second power, x to the fourth to the negative second power, y to the negative third to the negative second power, and z to the power of 0 to the negative second power. Why are we allowed to do this? Because there's either multiplication or division going on inside. When you're adding or subtracting, you cannot do this. This only works when you're multiplying or dividing. So negative 2 to the negative second power gives us 1 over negative 2 to the positive second power. When you have a power raised to a power, you multiply. So we get full x to the fourth times negative 2, y to the negative third times negative 2, and z to the 0 times negative 2. Well, 1 over negative 2 squared is just positive 1 over 4, because when you square a negative, it becomes positive. So that's going to become 1 over 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, x to the negative 8. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6, so it's y to the 6th. And 0 times negative 2 is 0, so it's z to the 0. So we have 1/4, which means a 1 on the top, 4 on the bottom. Y to the 6th is positive, so that's going to go on top. That's why it's y to the 6th. X to the negative 8, that's negative, so it's going to go downstairs and become positive. And z to the 0 is just 1, so times 1. So we get a final answer of y to the 6th over 4x to the 8th. And lastly, did you do every question? Did you do every question? Why, yes, we did. So there you go. Assignment 10 answers. If you have any questions, ask me, ask Mr. Fallett. Just let us know, because if we're not getting any feedback from you, then we think you understand it, okay? So make sure you contact us. Look out for the next assignment, next video lesson, which will be posted on, what's today? I don't even know what day of the week. Today's Wednesday, so tomorrow, Thursday. So Thursday at 8 a.m., your next lesson, assignment 11, will be posted about what power function in logarithms. Here we go. Have a good one.